Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7 on hot7025fm.com.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cheryl Underwood, and you're tuned into the hottest news station on the planet, Hot 702.5.
Yo, it's Tavon Greatness Patterson. Want to listen to Hot 702.5 on the go? Download the Hot 702.5 app on the Apple Store or Google Play Store if you got an Android like me.
Let's get it.
Tune in now on hot7025fm.com.
Hi. Hey. What's up?
All your favorite artists.
Check it out.
Say my name.
DJ Khaled.
This is Mila J.
Bruno Mars.
On hot7025fm.com.
Yeah. Jones. Hey. Greg Deville was at it, man. Hey. If you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help. You wanna be a broker, you wanna be broke. You wanna be the joker, you wanna be the joker. You gotta bring more to the table than your hope, dreams and wishing. I can feed you fish or I can take you out fishing. I can show you the vision, addition and division, mathematic equation. Make the money flip like an acrobatic, amazing. Greg Deville help you build the foundation. I'm saying, if you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help.
All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's right. We're live right here at Hot 702.5 FM. Greg Deville, let's talk home loans today. Let's talk about some of the benefits to getting pre-approved, and for those who have credit issues, or let's just say credit challenges, let's talk today about challenging your credit. Get a pen, tell a friend. Greg Deville's back in studio once again. We want to talk about some more real estate, some more home ownership, some more getting your credit together, some more home loans, because right now, loans interest rates are looking pretty good. They come down a little bit, not as much as you'd like, but you missed the boat. Imagine going on a cruise, you paid for everything, and you know your bags are packed. You drove 4 hours to get to the Long Beach Harbor, and you missed the boat. But it's paid for, non-refundable. You didn't even get the insurance to pay for the trip. It's non-refundable. So what happens? You missed the boat. You missed the opportunity for that great adventure of going on that cruise. And with going on that cruise, that I'm kind of speaking to that when we talk about definitely wanting to get that credit on track, or those low interest rates. Remember those rates that were really, really low? They were really, really low, and you missed that boat. You missed the opportunity. But they're still, they're up a little bit, but they're down a little bit. So I brought in a guest today who's going to talk to us about where the rates are looking like, what could you possibly purchase a home for. But now remember, I want you to get into a home because you're paying somebody's mortgage already. So whether the rate is 7%, it is what it is. I mean, because when you rent, you're at 100%. So if I could say you're home at 9% and you're paying 100, which sounds better? Thank you. 9%. Although they're lower than 9, but I'm using as an analogy, when you pay rent, you're paying 100%. So why not take the liberty? Let's do what we do. Let's talk to the lender. Let's get you pre-approved. Let's step up to where you are. Now, someone asked me, how do they determine how much I can afford? Now, remember, that's something that has to do with your debt-to-income ratio. Some are at 49, 53%. I mean, some of you are living right at the half and half, right? You're living at most half of your income. One paycheck away from being whatever, a car or whatever. So again, 702-349-0162, 702-349-0162. We're going to be talking with Christina Graham on this afternoon, and she'll be speaking with us about getting that loan process and the thing you need to know to get you pre-approved. What do you need to know? We're going to have answers today. If you got questions, feel free to chime in. Feel free to send a text or post, however you want to reach in with us on this afternoon. Let's talk about what you need to do. But number one is speaking with a lender, not calling the realtor, not calling your friend, not calling Zillow, not looking on Zillow, not looking on any of the sites, not until you're approved. Because number one, you want to know, what are you approved up to? Is that right? How much am I approved up to? How much buying power do I have? So, with that being said, I want to take a moment to introduce to some, present to others. You all know her. She's the millennial girl who is very well diverse in loans and has worked for new home builders. She has worked with private industry, with brokerages in the lending. So I want to welcome this afternoon our friend, my little partner, my little sister, who's very knowledgeable in the field, Christina Graham. Good afternoon, young lady, and how are you?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you. I'm glad you took the offer.
Absolutely.
Yes, we love having you here. Today, I want to talk about what you have new. I want to talk about what are the interest rates looking like right now. Okay, so I'm gonna go for it. Everybody listen, this is Christina. Get a pen now. She's going to give you some nuggets. If not, call us and we'll play it back for you. How's that? But go ahead, Christina. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, guys. Yes, I mean, as of right now, right, everybody's focused on interest rates. That's going to be the hot topic right now. Sure. But honestly, I want everybody to really focus and hone in on payment.
Payment, right? Okay.
What's going to be your comfortability when you sit down with me? These are some of the things that should be top of mind.
Right.
Hey, Christina, I don't want to make my payment more than $2,500.
Okay.
Let's work with that. Let's work with your budget, and then that way I can pre-qualify you up to that amount.
Right.
But just to get a general census of where interest rates you're looking at, we're probably sevens, right? 7.125%, no cost.
Okay.
But, again, focusing, honing in on what is going to be your comfortability for payment.
Right.
What programs do we have that make the dream of buying a home more affordable for you? Right. And so that way it doesn't hit your pocket, and then you're able to enjoy your home, buy the furniture that you want.
But now on that note, I want to ask you this, because although they tell you that when someone calls you, they do the application. Yes. Typically, the system generates, based on their debt to income, what is shown on their taxes. The system generates, you're approved up to, these one clients are at 510. But then they didn't want the payment that goes with 510. Right. So they said, well, we're more comfortable here. So it brought it down to like 4.25, where they're more comfortable. But when you initially do the loan, you get that initial number, and then you kind of reduce from there.
Exactly.
Or is it big on you just approving them? Because what I found out is people know they qualify for more, they'll stretch out a little more.
Right.
And the other thing I wanted to mention and have you to confirm is that when the system generates an approval, let's say the 510, the system says they can afford 510, right?
Yes.
So it's not that you're raising the rate; it's what the system. Now they're not used to paying $3,000 a month. Exactly. That's the problem. But it doesn't mean that you can't. It's just you're not accustomed to.
Exactly.
So you run into that a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
So when my clients sit down with me and we're going over the numbers, right, I'm pretty thorough. We go over the complete application, but at the end, right, hey, what's my payment? What is everything going to be? What am I qualified up to? Right. Well, we can go up to this amount. Right. Here's the payment associated with that. Are we comfortable? Right. That's going to be my biggest piece, and my fiduciary responsibility to the buyer is, hey, are you comfortable with making this payment? Is this affordable to you? Because the biggest thing that we don't want after we close and everything's said and done, then you can't make your payment. You're defaulting on your payment.
Right.
That means I haven't done my job. So we want to make sure we have these tough conversations up front. So that way, when you're all comfortable and cozy in your home and you're loving it, right, everything is still okay when it comes to your pockets too.
How often are people using their 401ks right now? Is that something you're seeing a lot right now?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I think we want to encourage that to those of you who are listening and you have a 401k on your job. think about that, because the high interest rate with this down payment assistance can be avoided by using your 401k. You can get a lower rate by using your own money without penalty. I think people are afraid to use those funds. Yeah. They're so used to hearing that 10% penalty, and they don't know when to purchase a home, there is no penalty.
You can leverage the 401k, absolutely. You can borrow against the 401k funds in order for down payment, cash to close, whatever. It's your money, right? So you're borrowing against it, and we're actually not going to include that payment, whatever your borrow rate with your 401k company, call up HR, right? Get that directly.
Right.
But we're not going to use that payment towards a debt to income. So it's not going to hurt you because you're borrowing against yourself and just repaying back yourself.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a huge thing. Or sometimes people have a lot of assets in their 401k. We can leverage that.
Okay.
Right? So
when we talk assets, like what? What's an asset in the 401? I haven't heard of that one.
So we could also do what's called an asset depletion loan.
Okay.
You have to have over a certain amount.
Okay.
But we can leverage and say, hey, I have X amount sitting in my 401k, or I have X amount liquid assets.
Yeah.
I can use that and average it over 30 years for some lenders and say, hey, now I can use that as income. That's going to be additional income for the file. Right, monies that I'm not using for down payment, cash to close, right? Just sitting in the account.
Right.
You don't have to do anything with it, but I can take a look at that and say, hey, you know what, you have over the threshold that we're needing, and I can average that over 30 years and see, you know, how much money I can use towards that to income.
See, you guys, I told you Christine is a cold piece of work right here. 702-349-0162. We want to get you set up with her so that you can do your application. Find out what you... Here's another one that I run into.
Yes.
Is people are waiting till they get their credit like 700. I want to get my credit score higher. So what do you think? If somebody's above a 620 right now, somebody's at a 600, would you recommend, even a 580, because we know we can get the 401 at a 580, would you just recommend them calling, let's see what exactly is needing to be done, you know, versus just waiting and now you're missing all the great deals? Perhaps the home prices are lower, and then you wait a year, home prices have gone up. You go, I could have bought the same house last year for $50,000 less.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk about recommending they call now. What do you say to that?
I say 100%. It's better to know exactly where you're at right now instead of speculating. I think I could do this. I don't think I can do that. But let's actually take a look at the numbers, right? So with my lender, let's say they're not 100% prepared.
Okay.
Right? We can actually do a soft pull on credit. I don't need to do a hard inquiry just to take a look.
Okay.
Once we're moving forward, then I'll do the hard inquiry, run my approvals on the back end. But at least that soft pull allow me to create that mortgage plan for them. So even if it's say not right now I can buy, that's okay, right? Let's create the plan for you. Let's follow up.
Right.
But if we can buy right now, we're actually higher than what we anticipated. You would have never known had you not picked up the phone, made the call, and then from there, let's move forward.
Right. So again, making the call, Christine is going to have the answers. We definitely want to make sure that people are, you know, stretching out. Because when you let fear grip you, people are afraid to move. People are like, I don't know. And you know, when you call to ask about a rental, you know how many people I've converted from renting into purchasing just by walking in my office and, do you guys do rentals? And like, yeah, but let's first let you speak with the lender. Let's see if you qualify first. I met a lender so I'm selling a home. It's an NOD, notice of default property. So people who are in default, don't let the bank take their equity. So we're helping them sell it, get their equity. But, you know, it's been about 7-8 months since a payment was made. So I know it's hitting their credit. So I have to find her a rental property for at least a year, right? Because they want you to do a year lease. So with that being said, I was looking at some rentals for her. Now, I don't typically do it, but because she has to rent, you know, but she'll have a great substantial amount of income from the sale. I mean, you almost $150,000, right? That's your equity. You'll get a check, right? And everything else will get paid off. You're out of debt. But I had an application. Guy says one of the realtors that was leasing a house. He said they require a 650 FICO, and I'm thinking a 650. I can get you a house for a 580.
Exactly.
You know, and you're talking 650. Rentals are getting as challenging. Some loans are easier. So we want to convert. Those of you that are listening, we want to convert renters into owners. Don't be afraid. Take the step. You know, I found out, Christina, people are more apt to buy a car than to think to buy a house.
I know, it's a shame.
Isn't that something? They'll go buy a car in a minute. Oh, I'm having a problem. I think I'm going to buy a new one. Or they go to the dealer to look at having it fixed and come out in a brand new car.
Exactly.
But if you do that, guess what's going to happen, Christina?
It's going to bump up that debt to income ratio, and now we can't get as much home that we're wanting.
There you go.
Get the house first.
Okay.
Get the car later.
Get the house first.
Yes.
Get the house first. Now, somebody's behind in their credit cards.
Okay.
What do we want to tell them today to make this transition into homeownership? What's the advice from the lender?
I'd say, let's start making our payments on time, because that reoccurring late payment, right, month over month, that's bogging down your FICO.
Right.
The bureaus don't see, hey, is this person actually being responsible credit-wise? Once you start making your payment timely, right, the more time from that last late payment, the better, right, then it'll lessen the effects of what had initially occurred with that late. So I'd say let's start making the payments timely. Let's focus on the credit cards that have the higher monthly payment, not necessarily the balance, right?
Okay.
When we're looking at debt to income, right? That's how much we're going to qualify you for, right? How much debt is showing on the credit report.
Right.
We're looking at monthly debt, right? So if we have a $2,000 balance and my payment's $200 a month,
right,
let's focus on that one first.
Okay.
Pay that off or pay it down, whatever, right? We'll come up with the plan together.
Okay.
But that's probably going to be hurting you more towards, hey, how much can I actually buy? Because that monthly payment is so high.
It's so high. So the other advantage I know I've been hearing you speak about, we talk about the simulator. Can you give us some what that really does in the lending process using the simulator?
So we can simulate a score. So let's say, for instance, somebody's middle of the way and they're qualified, but we need to bump up their FICO in order to maybe get them in another bracket for pricing for interest rates. Sometimes that could be a big factor.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe they're a few points shy. So generally, every 20 points, in every increments of 20 points, we're in a different bracket for pricing for rates.
Okay.
So if they're really close, right, and we can do a simulator through a transaction, let's do it, right?
Yeah.
Because it makes sense. And then we're going to ultimately get the client a better rate. They're going to be happy with their payment. So that's something that we can do.
And then we can do when you pay it down, do a rapid rescore. Let's talk about the rapid rescore, how that works.
We could do a rapid rescore as well. So let's say, for instance, you're working on paying off some debt. And it hasn't necessarily reported with the bureaus yet, then what we'll do is reach out to the bureaus directly. We'll get some paperwork from you from that creditor directly to show that, hey, it's been paid off or paid down, and then we'll work with the bureaus and with our credit reporting agencies and say, hey, they paid that down. This needs to be updated. Right? They'll go ahead and update that, and then that'll also trigger your score to then increase.
So that's a fee, though.
It's pretty expentive.
Okay,
so
give it to me.
It is pretty expensive.
I need my listeners want to know what does that look like.
So it's something for us, right? It potentially it could be like $100 per bureau, right? So let's say we have 3 bureaus and it's one creditor. So for each bureau, it's $100, right? So that could be a fee depending on how many creditors we're needing. So if it's like 6, right, that can kind of add up. So sometimes it'll be better in the plan to where we're doing these things prior to. If we have the time. And sometimes I can help my clients where, hey, you know what, I'll incur the cost as well, but just depending on how much. What does that actually look like, right? Does it actually make sense? Yeah.
Right. So now, also, we want to appreciate our veterans who have served and that are active duty even right now. And let's talk about how we can help a veteran family, right? So I know at your previous company, I don't know where you are now. I don't know about the ones you're at now, but I know I heard the number 560 FICO.
Oh, 560. Okay. Well, I mean, for our veterans, right? Technically, they don't need a FICO in order to qualify. So before everybody rushes in,
break it down.
Let me explain.
Okay.
So we have to still get an automated approval in the system, right?
Okay.
And if they've been delinquent on any payments for the last 12 months, right, then it'll be a little bit harder for an approval. So we look at our veterans on a case-by-case basis. Right? So if you've been current for the last 12 months, maybe you had some derogatory things in the past, might be able to ignore that, write some letters of explanations to where I can still get an underwriter approval. I'll work with my veterans. With the VA, because the VA kind of, we help our veterans a lot. And it's a little bit more flexible with the guidelines with the VA loans. So it's a case by case. And sometimes, if they're falling below that 560 mark darker, I could still make some magic happen to where we're able to get our veterans into homes.
But
too.
one of the underlining situations about that though is having a late in 30 days within 12 months.
Exactly. Correct.
That hurts.
That hurts.
So people don't understand sometimes. As long as you pay it by the end, even if you pay it on the 30th, and you pay it, it didn't go over 30 days. It's when you miss. It's due July 1st, but you paid it on 30. It didn't go into a 30-day. Right, so just stay in that month, even though you're shifting money around, right? Ask me how I know, right. First-hand experience. I'm shifting stuff around. And she, well, why you paying? I'm like, I'm borrowing it for a moment. I'm just borrowing this, right? I'm gonna flip this money before I give it to them, but I got to make sure we give it to them before the 30th of the or on the 30th.
The month. Yep.
Last day of the month. It's not considered late. Now there may be a late penalty with the lender, but not with the credit bureau.
Exactly.
Dinging your credit.
Exactly.
Okay, good stuff. I want to make sure we're getting that word out because people think, well, I didn't pay it by the 15th, and that's something else that people don't realize. When you're renting, your rent is due on the 1st,
right.
Late by the 3rd for some, and late by the 5th for others. But when you have a mortgage, it isn't late until after the 15th of the month.
Right. So let me explain too. Right.
Yeah.
So after the 15th, then a late fee will be incurred.
Yeah.
Correct. And if it's paid before the last day of the month,
right.
then you're in the clear. So you're only going to incur that late fee. But
right.
if it's paid after that last day of the month,
right.
then it's reported to the bureaus, and that's a no-no.
That's the one you want to avoid. Now, so you're saying one late in 12 months at this new company you're at. One late, because I've got a company that you can have two lates and still.
We can take a look at it. If it was a one-off and, maybe they were in the hospital or they got into, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Let's look at it.
It's got to be an extenuating circumstance.
Precisely.
Okay. Very good. Very good. So don't purposely be late on a payment, especially when you're sick of, on my way here, some guy calls me, he says, Deville, my landlord, the AC went out. He said, man, we couldn't live in the house. He didn't respond. So they went out and rented an Airbnb until they got it fixed.
Oh, wow.
And so he gave him the bill for the Airbnb, and the landlord said, I didn't pay. He says, but there's no insurance. He said, but there was no AC in the house. Wow. See, this is the kind of stuff you got to put up with when you have a landlord.
Exactly.
Now he's threatening to evict him because they used some of the rent money to accommodate for what the air conditioner could not do.
You cannot take things into your own hands, right? He tried to, but...
So legally, if something is emergency that you have to rectify, then you're allowed to use the rent with the explanation as well as with reasonable costs. Okay, it has to be reasonable cost. If the house is backed up, you can't reach the owner and you can't use the plumbing. But you live there, you have to have the plumber. You can take it out of the rent within reason. You will maybe, if it sounds a little high, maybe get another estimate. But it has to be within a reasonable amount. But all these reasonable amounts, that's the
subjective,
yeah, that's the reason why you got to get out of the rental.
Exactly.
Because you put up with the landlord and say, well, you should have stayed in the house for 4 days with no air conditioner. Like, really?
Cannot.
Really? And so, again, that's a fight that he's having, like, Mr. Deville, what do I do? So at the end of the day, hey, wait for that eviction notice and go to court about it. That's all I can tell you. There's no real law that says, but again, a judge will understand. If you said, I have a family of 4, the hotel was $280 a night, so we decided to use the Airbnb, which was $200.
Exactly.
So you tried to save costs.
Exactly.
Right? Now, you stayed 4 days. You moved in immediately after the AC was fixed, right? You went home.
Yep.
You didn't go stay another night.
Exactly.
So you have to prove when the AC was fixed that you actually moved back. You didn't incur another month or another date on the Airbnb. So, but again, the landlord doesn't like it. Landlord doesn't like it. But this is what you put up with when you're putting up with a landlord.
I agree.
When you got Christina in the office here today, in the studio with us to explain getting into property credit. Let's talk about credit for a moment. What would you recommend to a person that's dealing with challenge credit?
Challenge credit, so... Right, to pay things timely, right? To pay down those debts that are a little bit higher monthly. It just depends, if things have gone to collections and it's been years and years old, it's already done its damage. I'd say probably not put your focus there.
Yeah.
Don't overutilize your credit cards, right?
Okay.
If your balance is $300, your limit's $300 and you're charging $250 on your credit card, right, then you're almost tapping into that limit, right? Then that's going to bog down your FICO.
Okay.
If you do pay down your credit card, you want to pay it down prior to the statement date. Okay?
Right.
Because whatever's on that statement, that's going to be reported to the bureaus.
Right.
So if I know my statement's coming out on the 15th, I'm going to pay it down or off completely a week before the statement actually comes out. Right. So now whatever's showing on that statement, it's much lower than paying it by the due date. Right. You can pay on the due date. The statement's already done. Right. Showing reflecting the higher balance.
Okay. I hope everyone got that. 702-349-0162. Greg Deville, Deville Realty Group, in the office with Christina Graham. We're going over some things about home ownership and how that credit is important. Debt ratio is important. Veterans, you're important, and you should not. You should not. Let's talk a moment about, how veterans have the DD-214 can be reinstated, and why would you think they're renting? What could be one of the reasons maybe why a veteran is renting?
I think a lot of times veterans just don't know they have.
Ding, ding, ding,
right?
ding, ding. That was the answer I was looking for.
Yes.
Is they just don't know, because I run into a lot of veterans say, well, I already used my VA benefits. But they don't realize it's able to be used once again.
Exactly.
And so speak to that, Christina, because they don't believe me.
Yes.
You're the lender. They don't believe me. So
once you've purchased a home, yes, you've used your VA entitlement, right? Granted, but once you've sold that home, that can then be reinstated for you to then purchase again with a VA loan.
Right.
Of course, that VA funding fee, the second use, it goes up a little bit, but nonetheless, you still have all of the entitlement, or all of the VA perks, right? No down payment, no mortgage insurance, and generally the interest rates are a lot lower on those VA loans.
Right.
So our veterans, they definitely take care of them, and it's worthwhile to have a conversation.
I often get questions, can I go on a VA loan with my dad?
If dad is also a veteran,
right.
Then
so I'm not a veteran.
Yes.
But the question is, my dad lives with me. I'm a caretaker for my dad. He lives with me. He has income. Can my dad and I purchase a home together?
Oh, yes. They can purchase a home together, but are you saying in general or for a VA?
Yeah, this is VA.
Oh, so dad would have to be also have to be a veteran. So on a VA loan.
But he's not a veteran.
Yes.
But dad is the veteran.
Then dad could purchase on his own. He can't add the son.
You can't put the son on there.
No, you can't add the son.
Okay, so the son can qualify. So you can't put the son on the loan, although dad doesn't have a large income to really suffice getting a reasonable mortgage, right? He's probably $3,000 a month income, right? So it's not enough to really make a mortgage, and live comfortably. But how are we able to make the son and the dad together? Tell me there's a way we can get this whole deal done under the VA. No, don't crush my spirit.
Well, son would also have to be a veteran, or we could also do if he has a spouse, right? The veteran and the spouse could also be on the loan together.
Okay. I'm familiar with that one. Okay. Okay.
We have options where an adult child could purchase a home for their elderly parent, right, and still classified as a primary residence. So they could still put about 3% down, but it would be under a conventional product. It wouldn't be under VA though. Okay,
that's the thing. We're trying to get a buyer under the VA with the dad and the son. The dad's the veteran, and the son is not a veteran, but they want to purchase a home together. So we can't use the VA for both of them, because the son would have to be a veteran as well.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. So listen, if you're a veteran and you're listening to the show today, make sure you call us, 702-349-0162. I want to set you with Christina. Let's talk about how we can make this work, right? Don't give up hope. The other thing, Christina, people think about as VA that because they used it before, they can't use it again.
So, or even if they have a house, right, under a VA loan, we can see if there's enough entitlement left over for them to purchase a second home under VA.
So right? VA doesn't only have to be owner occupant?
It will have to be owner occupied, but let's say they're vacating that home that they did previously purchase. It was their primary. Now, hey, you know what? That no longer fits my need. I'm outgrowing that property. I need a bigger house. My family has grown.
Right.
Now you can keep that home, right? But now we can now purchase under the VA a second home. But we have to make sure there's enough entitlement, so that way they have zero down. So we'll do the worksheets together to determine, right, the entitlement.
Okay. So now the entitlement. So a person is a veteran and they lost their home back in the crash, 09, 10, all that, right? So they lost it. It was, those home prices back then were like 200. You know, they sold them for 09, we were selling homes for $99,000, $150,000. So, but they lost a home. So, are they able to now get a loan, although that was foreclosed or that was deed in lieu or short sold it? They can, that entitlement amount. So they know that 240 is done.
Right.
So they still, how much is the actual VA up to now?
The entitlement amount. I know you put me to the test. I'd have to check on that. What the particulars. But to your point, right? Let's say they did have something happen with the foreclosure deed in lieu. It will still show that on the DD 214. I mean, on the VA entitlement form, right? It'll show that home is taking up a portion of that entitlement.
Right.
Now wanting to buy again, they still could under the VA as long as they have enough entitlement.
Right. And that's the second piece that I'm trying to find out. So I thought maybe at one time I heard it was 680 to went to 720, and if you've only used 220, you still got entitlement up to 500. But that's something we need more research on.
Yes. I can give you those numbers.
Okay, but again, if you all are listening and you have had a VA home in the past, all right, you've had a home in the past, but that property got twisted up, foreclosure, what have you. You can use the DD-214, get it reinstated, use that DD-214 once again, and we need to find out how much you're entitled in that. Okay, but that's for more details. 702-349-0162. Greg Deville, in studio guest, Christina Graham. The girl is a wealth of knowledge. Very few times can I get a question that she can't answer, but well diverse in knowledge, and we appreciate all this information. Now let's talk to the man who himself lost a home, went into foreclosure. How long does he have to wait to buy again?
If he did go into foreclosure, it would be about 7 years.
7 years, okay. To go under the FHA.
Correct.
Okay, but we could do a conventional within 4 years.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, okay, but to do a first-time buyer, it's a 7-year process to go under that FHA. But we can get you a loan. You'd have to qualify with a higher score, right? Higher score, and we'd have to put you under. But then there are some people who may have not used their VA, were foreclosed on with the FHA, and now the VA is still sitting like, hello, I'm here. You know, they're still able to do that.
So, right, if they have, are you saying if they haven't used the VA? Yeah, correct.
They haven't used it. They used it. Yeah, they used the grant program, got the property through the WISH or what have you. They didn't use the VA.
100%, yeah.
It's still available.
It's still available for them, 100%.
Want to keep, so again, the first-time buyer program. Now, when we're using the first-time buyer program, what's the difference in me using my own money down versus me using the government federal funds down? Advantage and disadvantage.
So it just depends on the program. So for instance, like right now we have our 1% down program, where the lender is giving you 2%, and then you only have to come out of pocket for 1%.
Okay.
So that's going to be a conventional product. We have to have a little bit higher of a FICO, at least a 620.
That's it?
Correct. Yep. 620, and then you can't make over 67,000.
Okay, so there's a cap. I thought something sounded too good. I'm like, got to be some fine print. Okay, so you cannot exceed 67,000 annually.
Correct.
And that's a family of 2 minimum.
So whomever's on the application, it's not going to be the household income. We don't care if wife's not on the loan. We don't care about her income. She can make 100,000. But whomever's on the application, as long as they don't exceed 67,000, then we could get them qualified on that program.
Okay. Okay, and that's a 1% program.
That's our 1% program, 1% down program. Yes.
Okay. So somebody listening, how would you sell that to them today on the radio? What would you say? Because remember, they don't listen to me. They'll listen to you. So, you're prettier than I am, so they're not listening. They're like, dude, give me somebody, man. I'm tired of seeing you. So let's let Christina tell the story.
Yes.
All right, go for it.
So these are going to be for the buyers, right, that are below that income limit, right? And maybe cash to close. I'm a little tight,
Yeah.
We just had a truck driver as well, and he was really looking into that program, and we went over his situation, and that worked for him because less out of pocket, 1% down, still have to pay closing costs. But in addition to that program, what also is a benefit is that there's no mortgage insurance.
Okay.
Generally, on a conventional loan, when you put less than 20% down, you also have that mortgage insurance.
Right,
This case, you're only putting 1% down, no mortgage insurance. So not only are you just paying principal, interest, tax, insurance, no MI, that also helps reduce your monthly mortgage payment.
So I hear you saying to me today to go forward with the 1% program. Is there a rate already associated, or is it predicated on the FICO score for that interest rate?
Correct. Predicated on the FICO score.
Okay.
So the higher your FICO, the better, right, the scoring will be for that product.
So when we say better, what's a number? I've heard 680 was shown to be a better number to get a better rate. 680 being the lowest of the better. What are you in your lender mindset? What's the lowest of the better rate?
I would say around high sixes, a 680, 690 would kind of be, start under that threshold.
Okay, because I hear people say, well, I'm trying to get to a 700. I'm like, well, if you just get a 680, you can get about what a 700 gets. Am I saying that correctly?
Maybe a 700 will get you a little, maybe an eighth
even
or
a little
so.
Bit more?
Yeah,
okay,
better in the pricing.
But the prices have gone up on the house now.
Right.
Because as we see now, we're kind of getting back to that multiple offer on properties, right? I made an offer and they went with, I was trying to buy a burned house with the ceiling and everything caved in. And she said, and we wrote a nice offer. And she said, well, you're in the top 5. I'm like, wow, top 5 on a burned house.
Oh, gosh.
You know what I mean? Because we buy those flip properties and we couldn't win. And so recently I got multiple offers on a listing that I have in escrow right now. And it was deciding which one to take. Well, the one that was more giving, he gave her 10 days after the close. The other guy didn't want to give her no days.
Oh, wow.
They wanted her out the day of the closing.
Oh.
They want to walk through, you're gone, you got your money, but she needs funds to relocate.
Right.
So they gave her 10 days. So even though the other offer was a little bit more, but the advantage in this offer made sense for her.
Yes,
right? She could still move out and she'll have her finances tangibly in her bank account to be able to put a deposit on these high-ranking rental properties.
Exactly.
And they want 3 times, 650 FICO for rental, 3 times the amount of income for the rental.
Wow.
3 times the amount.
Wow.
So it's harder to qualify for a rental nowadays.
I can't believe it. I mean, it's our reality.
Yeah. It's at the end of the day, people that are listening today, keep in mind, getting your own piece of the American dream is doable. Don't shoot yourself in the foot and say, I would still say, even if you got a 600, and don't promise yourself to the 7, because something may happen right? You may incur another debt before getting the 700.
Exactly.
So you defeat the fact that you're approved today, but I'm gonna wait. I had a lady wait herself right out of that low interest rate when we were 4%, 3.99 and 4%. She's like, well, I'm gonna wait till it go down. I'm saying, are you sure? She said, yeah. Next time we heard it was 5.25. She said, I should have. How many people I should have, would have, could have done so, but didn't do so? Right. And so I think today we want to make sure that they're making a positive step toward advancing information about where your FICO is. What does it look like right now?
Yes.
Right? So you're saying you could do a soft pull. You can look about where those 3 score. Are you going to see all 3 in the soft pull?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Explain to us, or my listeners, about the 3 bureaus. How do you determine the middle score? What's the determining factor to get to a middle score?
Yep. So we do a tri-poll from all 3 bureaus,
Right.
and it's not the highest, not the lowest.
Okay.
It's going to be the FICO. the FICO that falls right in the middle.
Okay.
That's going to be what the FICO is, the FICO score for qualification.
So the high. So starting with which bureau?
Okay. It won't matter, right? Because it just depends on what's what. Could maybe experience higher at one point or experience lower at one point.
Okay.
So it just depends. Whatever FICO just falls right in the middle between all 3.
Okay. Okay. So there's no one. There's no order.
No order.
No order.
Nope.
I don't know why I thought it was in order. And I said, well, let's just pull Experian if that's the one, right? But okay, no order. No order. Okay, very good. That was a humdinger for me right there. That caught me off guard because I was hopeful that if I could just go to that middle score.
Yes.
Now, are you giving families the opportunity to save money, and how much should they save? What is your recommendation to someone that wants to use their own money down? What's the number? The median home price right now is about $420. $420. Yeah, it's about $420. What have you been seeing families needing to save? You know, somebody asked a question, well, how much would I need? I'm just curious. How much would I need down on a home at today's, median home price?
So let's say it's an FHA loan.
Okay.
Right. Generally, down payment's going to be 3.5%. So at 420, right, the down payment would be $14,700.
Okay.
However, we do have a program where on an FHA loan we can finance 100% of that.
Oh.
Okay. So to where potentially, let's say your closing cost is just 3%. So at a 420 sales price, 3% of that'd be about $12,600.
Okay.
So it just depends on where your FICO is. So like for our 100% FHA financing, you need at least a 600 FICO.
Okay.
Right? And we can look at some options with financing that in. Whether that's 100% financing it in, or hey, you know what, I'm going to, whatever you financed in, we're going to add that towards the payment. So there are a couple options, and every option has an associated rate.
Okay. All right. So now that's down payment.
Yes.
We said I can write now about $12,000. Then we're talking about there's another fee in buying. It's called the closing cost.
Yes.
So if we talk about the closing cost, we know what the buying is right now at that $12,000. What are we talking about on closing costs? What are we looking at?
I would say about 3%. So let's say, 420, 3% of that would be the $12,600.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So altogether, let's say hey, I want to come out of pocket down payment and my closing costs. That means that's about 5.5% of the sales price. So at a 420 sales price, 420 sales price, do it again. 5.5% of that would be about $23,100.
Okay.
Let's say a complete out of pocket, no additional assistance. Looking at about 23.
Okay, so I round things off like that, like 25.
Yep.
I told a lady she needed 19 for the buying of a home. I said, well, just tell them to give you 25, right? She said, well, I said, well, don't you want furniture to go into your new house? I mean, you got the money. Just make the request for 25. She was so glad. She said, Mr. Ville, I was able to put the big screen on the wall in my den. She said, I hadn't thought about it. But that's why you need a trustworthy realtor, right? Who can help you think ahead and not just because she had like $60,000 in her 401k.
Oh, wow. That was good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
It was really good. So now she was able to get 25. And I think after it was said and done, I think the down payment and everything came out like 17. So she actually had more like 8,000. Some numbers were moved around. I think the price of the home that we originally ended up finding made the numbers less. But she had already made the request, and 25 it was.
Good.
But the advantage to that is, again, you have the 1% program. Tell us a little bit more. What else how they could qualify for it?
For the 1%, so maybe they're making enough income, and maybe FICO is middle of the way, right, 620 or greater, right? That we can work with that, right?
Okay.
So whether it's going to be the 1% down program or 100% FHA financing, it provides an opportunity for people to still enter into homes without having to, hurt my pockets.
Yeah.
Maybe I have limited savings, or hey, you know what? I just want to be able to get into a home with as little money as possible.
Right.
Whatever the situation is, we can work with that.
Okay. Well, you all been listening to Christina Graham, my guest here at Hot 702.5 FM, and we love sharing information with the community regularly, like every Thursday from 3 to 4. We do this. We talk real estate, we talk numbers, we talk credit. So if someone came with the credit just getting done, is there a period of waiting once my score? Is there a waiting period for credit to be considered when somebody repairs their credit?
I wouldn't say a waiting period, no.
Okay.
I mean, once we once the bureaus have updated, right, we can pull and then we can run and use those scores right away.
Okay.
But the thing with credit, right, while you're shopping, let's say we issue the pre-approval letter and you're shopping, right, there's that window of opportunity to make error, right? So we don't want anybody else pulling on your credit. We don't want you to go buy that Ferrari or anything else.
Or that couch.
Or that couch, the furniture. No.
Yeah.
How we qualified you or issued that pre-approval letter with that credit is how we want to close the file.
Right.
So don't touch anything. Don't run credit. You know, at that point, don't even change your marital status because that could also impact, right? Especially if we're doing like an FHA loan.
Yeah.
Qualified you as a single man. You guys are in love. You could get married.
Yeah.
Now, on that same FHA loan, I have to include your spouse's debt because of the product that we're doing. We don't want to do that. So I say, hey, make sure nothing changes from this point forward. Right?
Yeah. Or do a confidential marriage.
Yes.
Nobody knows. Nonetheless, so there is no waiting period. That's good to know because people say, well, I just got my credit fixed. So I can go in once the reports, we're ready to go. We can get the approval going. How long is the approval good up to?
90 days.
90 days. So you got 90 days. For those who are very challenging in finding, one of the words I love to use, and it's called realistic. That's an operative word in my conversation. It's realistic. Be realistic. If you know of clients right now, and I feel that they're being realistic, right? They want an emotion when they walk into. They want the emotion of this is it, and I don't know that an emotion can pick a house. I mean, granted, you may like the house and the style, but I don't know if buying a house under emotions, right? I don't think you're being realistic. You let all these homes go by but you keep paying rent.
Don't make sense.
You keep paying rent. You keep enhancing the real estate of the landlord. I got a client even so who's been renting for 11 to 12 years in the same house, and now the seller wants to sell the house
naturally,
and he won't and he won't work with the tenant who's been there 12 years, who literally paid the mortgage off, won't even work with him.
It's a shame.
He said, you're not giving me the number I want. I'm like, ooh. But I don't know that the realtor is real savvy in negotiating. A negotiating agent who has the ability. The difference between an agent who, as a realtor, can negotiate versus a realtor who just basically writes an offer. You know, I tell the team at Deville, you guys show the house, and when they give you the number, give me the file. Let me negotiate it, because I can go in, talk to the agent. I say it all the time. I don't like writing offers unless I know they're getting accepted. I don't just go in the office. I could be somewhere else. I'm going to call the agent. Let's find out, will this work for my buyer? Like the home I was trying to buy, it's a burn house. They wanted 150. I said, look, we can do 185 on this house. She said, you're in the top 5, but that's all she could tell me. But at least I didn't just go write an offer, throw it in there, right? I wanted to know, is someone greater? No, you're in the top 5. So then we submitted the offer, only to know that we were second in line to the first offer, accepted offer. So again, we don't want to be discouraged I think, again, as you aforementioned in the beginning of the show, let's get an idea of where you are. Even if it's a soft pool, just to kind of, would it be taking a peek? Just taking a peek, right? Let's take a peek. I know there was a few more things you wanted to share, and I wanted to get that out before our time is far spent.
Okay, yes. So just some of the programs, just to kind of breeze over them and kind of let the public know, you know, what else is out there. Like, for instance, some of the buyers that, hey, you know what, we're talking about credit a lot, and it is great to establish your credit. But even those that maybe, hey, you know what, I'm a little bit more asset heavy, and I pay things cash, right?
Okay.
And maybe I don't have any FICOs.
Okay.
I don't have any FICOs at all. So could I still get a home? Yeah, you could still get a home. Okay. It'll be a little bit more tighter guidelines.
Okay.
You know, instead of one underwriter taking a look, it would be 2.
Okay.
But this is still something that's feasible, you know, for them to still get into their dream property.
Okay. Okay.
That's one thing, right? So you have no FICO, no problem. Also, our 3-2-1 program, where so right now we're in a market where sellers are a little bit more inclined to offer some closing cost, right?
After they've been on the market for a little while, not 3 days on the market. Sometimes that doesn't, unless they're in trouble, right? Pre-foreclosure. But realistically, it's if they've been over 15, 30 days, and now they're getting a little antsy.
Yes.
They may be for, giving a little closing cost. Yes, that's correct.
So our 3-2-1 program kind of opens up the door for the seller to assist in buying down that interest rate.
Okay.
Right. For example, right, today's rate, let's say it's for sake of example that I have here, let's say it's 6%.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And that first year, what we'll do is reduce the rate by 3 points. So that first year, the interest rate would actually be 3%.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Second year, 4%. Third year, 5%. And then years 4 through 30. Right, it'll go back to the original 6% interest rate.
Okay.
But we're just going to copy paste that in today's climate, today's rates, right?
Right.
It's not an arm, it's not an adjustable rate,
Yeah.
but it just gives you the opportunity to have a lower rate in those beginning years.
Right.
Seller pays for the cost of that, on the back end at closing.
Okay.
But that still affords the opportunity to say, hey, you know what, my payment's going to be lower, especially in this climate.
Right.
And as rates reduce down, we can refinance in the interim. There won't be any penalty for that. So that's also a way in order for a lot of buyers are taking advantage of.
So they can refinance after it goes to the 6.
Nope, even year 2.
Year 2.
Right,
Okay.
year 2, year 3, even though it's not back to the original rate, they can still take advantage of the refi.
So what happens to the year 3 when it came 6%? Because we refinanced it, it never gets back to the 6?
Correct, exactly. Right, you refinance, so let's say 5 years down the road, this is not me making any predictions, right?
Right.
Let's say 5 years down the road, rates go back down to maybe a 4%, right?
Okay.
In year 3, you can go ahead and refinance.
Okay.
Now those terms that you had originally purchased the home at are no longer applicable.
Right.
Now we're just going to do that refinanced rate from that point forward for all the way through X amount of years.
Okay. Now, I believe you mentioned this on last show that we did a couple months back, that they would have to qualify at the 6%, however.
Precisely, yes.
Right. So explain that for the listener who's listening real close, like ear to the radio, right? Yeah. Explain that a little bit more, how the initial process actually works with that loan.
Yes. So you do have to qualify at that higher interest rate.
Right.
So in today's market, we're looking at around 7%. So it doesn't mean that I'm qualifying at that lower rate. Yes, that's a perk. Yes, you get to take advantage of that lower payment.
Right.
But for qualification purposes, we're looking at worst case,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Worst case, this going to be your payment from years 4 through 30.
Okay.
Qualifying you based on that. As long as we get the okay, we're good on that, then we can move forward.
Okay. Have we been using that product quite a bit?
Yeah, I would say so. People are leveraging it.
Okay.
It just depends on the need as well.
Right. Okay.
I know.
Okay.
Some families, right? They're maybe kind of breaking in or an entry level position, and they're expecting to be kind of raising up the corporate ladder in the next couple years, right?
Okay.
So it just depends on their situation as well.
Okay. All right. Well, it looks like the engineer is giving me a sign here that I've got to prepare to go. But Christine, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming out and sharing with us and speaking to the audience. And we're going to always have you come back. We love the wealth of knowledge, and the information that you bring is valuable. So if you've been listening to me today, Greg Deville, 702-349-0162. I'd love to speak with you, set you up with a meeting. I think Christine is coming to the office tomorrow.
Yes. Monday.
Monday, to meet with the client. So she'll meet you at our office, your office. If you're in town, she'll come to the conference center at the hotel, talk to you. But
Yes.
wherever you are,
make it happen.
We'll make it happen. All right. So look, we appreciate it. Don't forget Deville Solar Marketing Group. You can get solar at no cost, no upfront cost. Remember, it increases the home value. You can receive the tax incentive, a 25-year home warranty. You can lease or purchase the solar, and it's a fixed monthly payment. So no more raising the NV energy costs. With solar, it's flat rate to 25 years. And it's transferable upon the sale of the property. I'm Greg Deville, your nephew, your cousin, your friend, and them. So glad to be with you on this Thursday, 3 to 4 p.m. But my time is up, and I'm certainly not out of information, but I'm out of time for today. Go back, share the Facebook post. Would you do that? Share it with someone who could really use the information that they, too, could be in a dream home of their own. 702-349-0162. Greg Deville. Until then, I'll talk to you next week, Thursday at 3 o'clock. May God's best be yours. Take care.
Take care.
Jones, hey. Greg Deville was at it, man. Hey. If you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in.